was a horrific mistake. Governor Gavin Newsom called it pathetic and a surrender. Poll after poll found more Americans on both sides of the aisle blaming Republicans. Even Marjorie Taylor Greene blamed the GOP. As you mentioned, Democrats had big wins last week, so you had momentum. Why give in now? Why bring a butter knife to a gunfight? Are you willing to gamble that the GOP will negotiate on health care in good faith once the government reopens? Because if that gamble is wrong, 500,000 Pennsylvanians that you represent, their health care costs will skyrocket if you are wrong. And I believe you are wrong.
Well, first of all, MTG is quite literally the last person in America that I'm going to take advice or to get their kinds of my leadership and values from. And now if Democrats are celebrating crazy pants like that, then that's on them. And now I don't need a lecture. I don't need a lecture from whether it's Bernie or the governor in California, because they are representing very deep blue kinds of populations. And a lot of those things were part of the extreme. And now remember, what really needs to win, the big win, is involving my state and other states and those things. And why have we arrived here after the election a year ago? We got to forget some of the things that cost us that election. Or now, for me, it's like, that's why I'm trying to remind people that kinds of the extremism, we can't return to those kind of things and realize we need to find a way forward. And I would like to, rather than cite MTG, I'm going to cite one of the new governor-elects saying that my election is not a green light to continue the shutdown, because I promise you, this isn't a political game. It is viewed by many of us, but the reality is 42 million Americans now not sure where their next meal is going to come from, and because we vote like that, or people that haven't been paid for 5 weeks now, and that kinds of chaos. Those workers have to borrow more than $500 million, from their credit union just to pay their bills now. So for me, we're in the middle of this.
Senator. In a meeting with the Syrian president earlier today, Marjorie Taylor Greene, who is a big ally of yours, said that she would rather see you focused on nonstop domestic policy meetings here at the White House instead of nonstop foreign policy meetings. What's your response to her saying that, and also saying that grocery prices are up and not down, as you said?
Yeah, so I don't know what happened to Marjorie. She's a nice woman, but I don't know what happened. She's lost her way, I think. But I have to view the presidency as a worldwide situation, not locally. I mean, we could have a world that's on fire where wars come to our shores very easily if you had a bad president. We had a horrible president, and we ended up with Russia, Ukraine, and we ended up with other disasters, too. Don't forget, I put out 8 wars, 9 to come. I think I'll get the other one taken care of, but I put out 8 wars. And look at the damage that Russia, Ukraine has done to us as a country. I mean, we spent $350 billion.
The president says there's virtually no inflation and that grocery prices are going down. Do you agree with him on that?
No, I go to the grocery store myself. Grocery prices remain high. Energy prices are high. My electricity bills are higher here in Washington, D.C. at my apartment, and they're also higher at my house in Rome, Georgia, higher than they were a year ago. So affordability is a problem, and I'm a mom. My kids are 22, 26, and 28. That's the generation I worry about the most, and they're having a very hard time. But when I go back home and I talk to many of my constituents, I'm hearing stories of not only are we having a really hard time affording groceries and rent and things like that, but I'm also hearing stories about people maxing out their credit cards just to afford their monthly expenses.
All right. So we talked about this last week. She's at it again. That was a recent interview she did with Fox. President Trump has finally called her out. Nicole, do you think it's fair that he said something, or is she right?
Well, no, I think it's absolutely fair that he said something, and because it was going to continue to be a talking point if he had not said something. And I think the way he did it was as gracious as possible, that, Margie's off the farm. We don't know what's going on with Margie, but God bless her, right? The truth of the matter is, when you think about incredibly wealthy people, because she's not just a little loaded, she's very loaded, incredibly wealthy people saying that they're having a hard time financially, it just smacks of this kind of elitism that the Republican Party used to be known for. When you think Dick Cheney, Liz Cheney, all those warmongering kind of Republicans that made all their money in war, this is who she reminds me of. Oh, egg prices are too high. Girl, you live on a farm, grow your own. Get you some chickens, do your thing. She doesn't have any regular world experience at all. And she's worried about her grown children finding their way in the world. Can I tell you, all parents worry about their grown children finding their way in the world. And there are salad days when you're young. There are days when, you live in a studio apartment and eat ramen three times a week. It makes you a better person. It's called building character. You'll work harder. And if they have time to complain, guess what else they can do, Margie? They can get another job, right? I mean, I recall 21 having 3 jobs and going to school, right? You can work a little bit harder, but isn't it easier just to complain to wealthy mom so she'll write you another check? Truth of the matter is, when you take a look, Thanksgiving is coming. Walmart, Lidl, Aldi, Target, all of these places says all of their holiday things are going to cost far less than they did last year. Yeah. Not a little bit less, but far less. So I don't know where Margie shops, but maybe try Aldi, Lidl, Target, or Walmart if you're looking for some cost savings.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, President Trump hasn't even been in office for a year. She's out here bad-mouthing President Trump. He has not even been in office for a year. Now, so Shelly, what are your thoughts on what she said?
So, okay, this is what I was asking. Number one, I can totally understand why, I guess I would say, people on the right are upset with Marjorie Taylor Greene going around. I don't know why she's doing that. I'm going to take Nicole's word for it, that she's trying to get her seat, or maybe even go up to a higher level as far as the Senate. But some of what she said is true. Overall, grocery prices overall, this is according to the USDA, have increased from August to August, from last year to this year. Now, you're right, KJ, because some of that is under Biden, okay? You're also right that President Trump has not been in office, but what she's saying, that is just true. I don't know. I love the way President Trump responded to her. He didn't take digs at her. He didn't try to demean her or mock her. He handled it very well. If she's going to be on the Republican side, then we also have to, I'd say, I'm not sure of where the angst is if what she's saying is true. I'm not sure where the angst will be.
I think the issue here is, okay, she's supposed to be on the Republican side, okay? Right. Her interviews, in many of them, she's bashing the Republican policies and the Republican agenda that President Trump has put in place. Now, as you mentioned, groceries have gone up slightly over the last year. However, the increase is far slower or far lesser than it has previously been. Okay.
Exactly.
So again, President Trump has not been in office for a year. So there's a way you can say this. I mean, why is she, why is she out here bad-mouthing President Trump and the Republicans when she's supposed to be a Republican and not focusing on all the good that has happened? Why is she out here focusing on the bad? And not only is she focusing on the bad, but there is a sunny, bright side of this. Again, the increase is only in the low single digits versus double digits in prior years. So it's a positive trend.
It's a positive direction.
No, not yet, but it is a positive trend. But she's not communicating it in that way.
I agree. But again, I agree. Don't get me wrong. Mm-hmm. I agree. I think I'm going to go with what Nicole said. I think she has, I don't know what you want to call ulterior motive or high expectations. Maybe politically, I guess. Politically, she's not doing it in the quote unquote politically correct way, whatever.
No, it's not. It's not.
I'm just saying
she doesn't care about this stuff.
Maybe she doesn't.
Political.
Maybe she doesn't care. I get it. This is a whole game of politics, but I do think she's disingenuous when she talks about her grown children. I mean, compared to your average, even middle class, I'm not even talking about impoverished people, compared to your average middle class family who's trying to put their children through school, pay the bills, whatever. That part, that little sob story that her children, that part is so disingenuous. That's the one that really grates me, because she's trying to make herself as if she identifies with the, you know, the poorest and the downtrodden, when she has zero semblance or you know, same experience, whatever. So no, she's using that as a struggle session in that sense. To me, that's the part that makes me upset.
The whole thing is just really you know, grandstanding. So there are 3 ways to raise your star in the party. 3 ways. 1, you have to be a firebrand. That she's not. She's tried that. She tried that earlier. Remember, she was in the fight with everybody and your eyelashes, and they called her built bad and some other foolishness, right? She tried that. That didn't work. I mean, it got her a little bit of a flash in the pan, but not enough to keep her on the talkies. Every Sunday show, she was on for maybe a week or 2. That didn't really work. The second way to do it is by passing meaningful legislation. Now, we're not going to hold our breath on that one, because she's not the only person involved in that process, right? The third way to do it is to, quote unquote, speak truth to power. To be someone who's going to be a Republican and stand there and tell Trump he's not doing enough of a good job. That'll get you on the talkies, right? And this is how you raise your stock. She is trying to do what Wesley Hunt has done naturally. Wesley Hunt wanted to run for Senate. They said, this is not your time. We've got a race going on. We don't want you to jump in. And he was like, oh, I'm going to jump in. I'm going to jump in and I'm going to do it. Polls came out today. These 2 other Republican gentlemen have been running for this seat for almost a year. He's already caught them inside of 1 month. Mm-hmm. You don't hear him bashing Trump. You don't hear him bashing the party. You know what he did? He put boots on the ground, went knocking doors. He does all kinds of events. If you got a book signing, he'll show up to it so he can talk to the constituents. That's the way that you do it naturally. She has not quite learned that yet. I don't think anybody put that in her ear. So if she's watching, Margie, there's a better way. Call me. Send me.
I hope she's done.
Listen. No, she's going to stick around. She's going to end up being like the clap. She's going to pop up whenever you don't want her.
Yeah, I know she probably will, but I hope she's done. Because listen, folks, you know, we've got a real fight on our hands here. We're fighting the media, we're fighting the left. You know, there are enemies on all sides. And so the last thing we need is someone claiming to be conservative and on the right that is throwing shots within the party. Now, I understand there are, you know, differences of opinions and disagreements within the party. Sure. But what she's doing is not just a disagreement. She is actually, in my opinion, what is the word? She's going against the whole thing. This is not right. You know, again, President Trump we're about to talk about how BBC was caught fabricating a narrative about his January 6th speech. We got this stuff going on, and now we got to worry about her going around bad-mouthing the party and President Trump. When in actuality, if she disagrees, she can disagree, but you don't have to just totally slam everything and everybody. It's a way to do it. Yes, you know, the prices have not gone down as fast as we would have liked it. But they are going down. They are not increasing at the rate that they were in the previous years. So what? Something is happening. Give him time. But no, she's got a vendetta. She's trying to climb the ladder. She's not getting what she wants. And like, you know, excuse my French, a bitch, she got to go out like this. She has to go out like this. Wesley Hunt is doing it the right way, as you mentioned. He's got boots on the ground. He's going on the talk shows. He's speaking intelligently, and he knows what he's talking about, and he's going to get that Senate seat. But Marjorie Taylor Greene has to do the bitch move. This is what.
Let me ask this. So whom I respect Rand Paul and Thomas Massey and a few others every now and then, but because they've been consistent. Now I'm talking about over time, even before President Trump was in office, particularly Rand Paul. So when they say things that maybe go against, or when they stand their ground, no, I don't support whatever this is, then I support them too. So I can see the difference between them and Marjorie Taylor Greene. So, I mean, number one, they've been consistent, particularly fiscally conservative, and they will push back against President Trump, the Republican Party, when it's some principal point that they don't want to support. But you're right; they're not going out bad mouthing the whole agenda. They really aren't. So I can see the difference there.
There's a difference between somebody who's an ideologue, you know, someone who this is one of their core beliefs. I mean, anybody can you know, wake up one morning and say, you know what, my issue is going to be, you know, grocery prices, and I'm going to really just work real hard to bring those grocery prices down, right? And then there are people who think this is their chance to rise to stardom. There are many, many ways to get there, and some people would sell their soul, sell their absolute soul to get one step higher, just one step higher.
Yeah, Pastor Damon was on there. He caught me slipping, caught me using foul language. Listen, let me tell you all something. One thing that I hate is disloyalty. Disloyalty. Loyalty is probably my number one attribute. You know, that's something I value. It's my number one valued attribute is loyalty. You know, and so when I find or I come across someone that does, you know, that's disloyal, yeah, I have no patience for that at all. Okay. So and again, maybe there's something going on behind the scenes, but in my eyes, this is what she is doing. She's conniving, she's maneuvering. And like you said, Shelley, there's one thing if you're an ideologue and you believe a certain way. I actually like that, because that's sort of a sign of loyalty. You're consistent. You're being loyal to your ideology, to your cause. And I love that, actually, because you believe in something and you're going to stick with it. Be that. But when you flip-flop, what she clearly is doing, that there, I can't stomach it. All right. Yeah, Allie says, me too, KJ. That is why really teased me off about MTG.